Hi, Roy here on my channel Roy Reads Anything, which is about omnivorous reading. Things like the trashy novels that people read for the month of August in a reading event devised by Criminally. There's a bunch of co-hosts, of which I'm one, and all the details are down below. So both myself and Dr. Jenny...
Hello everybody!
...have been participating to slightly different extents, I suppose. So, in real time we're in week 3, but that means we've passed week 2. So basically going to talk retrospectively about stuff we read.
We time travel.
In the second week, yes, in memory. So you'll be pleased to hear I solved my cat mystery problem.
Hurrah!
After having to set aside not one, not two, but 3 cat mysteries, cosy mysteries featuring cats, I launched into The Cat Who Could Read Backwards by Lillian Jackson Braun, which is the first of her Jim Quilleran feline whodunits. And I really liked this. So it's a kind of classic mystery, pretty lightweight, slightly ironic tone, but I really like the setup. Leaving aside the cat for the moment, the human protagonist, Jim Quilleran, is a kind of a hard-boiled journalist who's done years and years working on the crime desk, and he's fetched up in a small town. He's obviously had some problems, he can't drink anymore, things like that. Fetched up in a small town where he's put, bizarrely, made into the art critic. So I just thought that's great, that sort of fish out of water thing. He ends up living in the house of... The paper has another art correspondent as well. He ends up living in this guy's house. He's the one who has a Siamese cat that does some amazing things. It can't like talk or anything, not that that would be unusual in the cosy mystery with cats genre, but it's a character that participates in the sort of exploration of mysteries, and there's a kind of a not too serious but also pretty affectionate look at the sort of art scene of this town as well. So the cat who could read backwards, like that. And for me, that does various things on the old Garbingo board. It does the Cosy Mystery with Cats Square. I believe that to be a weirdly specific subgenre. And...
Wait till you come to mine.
Yes, compared to Jenny's one, it's a completely huge mainstream genre. I was delighted to find that it was originally, or not originally, it has along its life since 1966 been published by the Giallo publishers in Italy. So it is a Giallo in that sense of a book that was published in the crime series in Italy. Not that therefore lets me off the hook of reading or watching a slasher thing, because I don't really like that. Splatter is not my jam. Jam
Splatter is no one's jam. Damson is jam.
So
raspberry is jam.
There goes Giallo as well. So yeah, pleased with that and enjoyed the book, and it's part of a huge series. Although I've read lots of books that are part of long-running series, so I don't need it for that. Anyway, yeah, so even more specific subgenre, I defer to Dr. Jenny here.
Yes, so...
I'm going to move aside so I can put the cover here.
Yeah.
There.
Really specific subgenre of vampire knitting, club, mystery, cosy, paranormal things. So it's by USA Today best-selling author Nancy Warren, who's written buckets of books, buckets of them. And this is, I think, was the first one. Certainly it's the first one of the paranormal cozy mysteries that she's written. And it's also the first of the Vampire Knitting Club series. Vampire Knitting Club series. So, young woman from the States, but it's got a granny in Oxford in the UK, and the granny runs a knitting shop, and the young woman is coming for a regular visit to see her granny at the knitting shop, and arrives only to discover that her granny has died. Which is a bit of a facer. And not only that, but she, the young woman, who characteristically for me, I can't remember her name. What's her name? Is Lucy Swift. And the wool shop is called Cardinal Wolsey's.
Excellent.
Partly because it's down the road from the Oxford College that was founded by Cardinal Wolsey.
Oh, yeah.
Which I believe is called Wolsey.
Yeah.
Which may not be a real college. It may just have been made up for this. Who can say?
I think I read about that in Hilary Mantel.
Did you? I don't think I've ever had a team in University Challenge that. Have you ever seen Wolsey? We shall look out for them. Anyway, she it's been hoping that her gran will help her work out the meaning of life. But Granny's dead, or so it seems, until she discovers that Granny is actually undead. And that there's a nest of vampires living under the shop, who all knit.
Right, okay.
And they're kind of those sanitised vampires that get their blood by students donating it. To
right,
one of them's an undead doctor who runs a blood donations clinic. So, yeah,
Fine.
They all live down there. And because the granny is in early stages of becoming a vampire, she's got no memory of the last bit of her life. So Lucy decides that she needs to work out what happened. She knows that her granny can tell her that she was killed. She was murdered. And that the reason she's a vampire is because her friend came, saw she was on the verge of death, and turned her in order to stop her from
fair enough
perishing, which seems quite reasonable in the circumstances. So the whole thing then is about Lucy working out how to run a wool shop when she can't knit, but loves running the shop.
So there's the jeopardy right there.
There's the jeopardy, yeah. And it's great.
Right, good.
It's brisk.
Yeah.
It's got two potential love interests.
Right.
A live policeman and a vampire, very aged vampire with, It's got what I can only assume are a couple of very, very cheeky nods to
the
Discovery of Witches.
Yeah.
Thing.
Because that's Oxford.
Because that's Oxford. That's vampires, witches, and demons.
Right.
You kind of couldn't really write stuff like this and not nod to that. Really, maybe. I don't know whether you could or not. But yeah, that amused me. That I think I spotted a couple of references.
Did you say Nancy Warren had written a NASCAR romance?
She has.
Oh, right, because Ollie's read a load of those.
Has he?
He
probably read
He bought
hers.
a giant box full of them. So,
I keep saying Ollie is our leader now. So she's... Yeah, it's great.
Right, good.
And there's a lot of them.
Okay.
And I ended up wanting to read more, so huzzah!
Good.
It's broken my bad streak.
For now, yes.
For now.
Okay, so moving on, the second week was, among other things, the week of category romance. So there was a prompt to read category romance, which is your sort of Mills and Boon type of genre romance book. I thought I'd be clever and read a Victorian romance book, which the one I picked is The Doctor's Wife by Mary Elizabeth Braddon. I think the category didn't really exist as we know it until the early 20th century with Mills and Boon and Harlequin. So this is good. I've read volume 1 because it was originally a 3-volume novel, such as they had, a triple-decker, such as they had in Victorian times, staple of circulating libraries. Braddon was called the Queen of the Circulating Libraries, as well as the idol of suburbia. And it's good. I really want to finish it, but I thought I'll give this a bit more time. Come back to it a bit later. So obviously I'm not reading it literally in a 3-volume edition. It also came out in a single volume yellowback. Well, they interest me. So these were cheap books that came out in sort of Victorian times, became a byword for thrills and sensation. And why is it the colour yellow became the colour of that sort of thing? You know, remember the giallo? Well, that's yellow, isn't it? So that was the Italians using yellow to denote their series of crime books. There's all sorts of yellowness.
Is there not some link also between Aubrey Beardsley and yellowness?
Oh, yes.
I think it might signal depravity.
Yeah, there was The Yellow Book, which was actually a magazine.
That was a magazine, yeah. And he did a lot of illustrations for it.
Yeah, so it's almost like a code. I might come back to that. But in terms of your actual category romance, I've got a Jane Converse book, Nurse Against the Town, which I read. This is the third Converse I've read, because if the shoe fits. And another cracker from her, another in her nurse series. This is my weirdly specific subgenre.
Of course
yes,
it is.
Nurse romances. That's pretty specific. So I've read one where it's in the world of surfing, and another one where it's not one nurse who does lots of different things, but where the nurse hero is a nurse at an art colony with like bohemian artists.
Which I read as Ant Colony.
Well, yes, yeah, that would be.
Different.
That really would be specific.
Yeah.
So this Against the Town business, she's not actually battling them. It's she's gone away to train, comes back to her family home town where she's from, which is not unusual in a Jane Converse. And the doctor there's a hospital, and all Mod Collins hospital's been built for this town, but it's got hardly any patients. It's like a ghost town. And the doctor who runs it, who she's always carried a torch for, it turns out everyone thinks he killed his first wife doing a particular kind of illegal operation. And so that's why she's against the town, because she's on his side. She believes he's innocent, and everybody is believing, we won't go to that hospital, we'll go like 50 miles to this other hospital. Then things happen. One thing that happens is a child's brought in from a religious colony just outside the town, which they don't believe in medicine, but the parents are so desperate they bring their kid in anyway. And then later on there's a big medical emergency where the nurse and hero doctor are able to sort of show their quality. So loads of stuff happens, and you always get this, they're surprisingly, you get lots of realistic details of the milieu. the sort of medical stuff as well as the romance. So that's my category romance for the year. Editor Roy here decided to chop this one in two so it's not too much of an epic. So the second half will appear in the coming days. Bye everybody.